Hi everybody, welcome to Robinznest Knits episode 6. I hope you enjoyed that footage of all the snow geese landing out in our pasture this weekend. That was quite a sight, and they're very, very, very loud. Well, welcome. It's good to have you back again. Just a reminder that you can find me on Etsy as Robinznest Knits. You can find me on Instagram as Robinznest Knits. And my email is robinznest.knits@gmail.com. Anyway, it's good to have you here today. What I'm wearing. Well, this is kind of fun and totally coincidental. Last episode, I highlighted a shawl by Paula Emmons Feasley, and this shawl was also one of her designs. This is called the Magic Cake Ruffle Shawl, and she came up with this pattern back in 2014. Unfortunately, I checked on Ravelry and the digital pattern is no longer available. But she came out with this. That was when I first ever heard of magic cakes. And I don't know if it was something she came up with or something she had heard about. But anyhow, she made this shawl designed to be knit with a magic cake. But the really fun part about this is that Paula was friends with Susan B. Anderson of Itty Bitty Knits fame. And Susan started making some of these, but then she had a lot of yarn left over because at the time she was making a lot of socks and a lot of baby hats and baby things. And so she started putting all her leftovers into magic knot balls. And then she had so many of them that she started selling them on, I guess, she didn't really have a shop, but on her website. And I was fortunate enough to get one. So this cowl is made up of all different yarns that Susan B. Anderson actually knit things out of for her pattern books, Itty Bitty Knits and Itty Bitty Hats. And so I just love it. It's kind of a special shawl. And it's really nice and comfy. And again, it's a triangular shawl that you just wrap around. Not too large, kind of just the right size to keep your neck warm in the wintertime. So that's what I'm wearing today. All right, what am I working on? Well, first, I guess I should tell you about a big finish I had this week. I'm going to insert a video clip here telling you all about that. The Seasons Cardigan is a raglan-style cardigan knit from the top down in half fisherman's rib stitch. The half fisherman's rib stitch was completely new to me, and although it looked a bit intimidating, it actually was quite easy until it wasn't. I discovered Ozetta's pattern last summer when I noticed the kids' pullover version, the mini season sweater. I loved the look and ease of a nice comfy pullover that my grandsons could wear while they played outside. So I went to my local Joann's and bought 3 colorways of their Big Twist brand yarn and set out to make sweaters for 3 of my grandsons for Christmas. Ozetta was a new-to-me designer, and I found her instructions paired with the videos you could link to be clear and easy to follow. Her construction is very different and unique from any other pattern I have followed. But as always, if I would just trust the pattern, it never led me wrong. So I set in on my first sweater and got going on the half fisherman's rib and quickly learned that it's not a stitch you can just tink back on. And dropping down rows to pick up a drop stitch is a technique all of its own. Link tutorials were helpful, and after a while, I found my rhythm, and I finished those 3 sweaters rather quickly. I think it was in between the first and second sweater I discovered the Seasons Cardigan pattern, and I was smitten. I didn't want to make it for myself in an acrylic yarn. As soft as the Big Twist is, I was rapidly tiring of the squeak each stitch offered. I guess I tend to be a bit of a yarn snob. So I ended up ordering City Tweed Aran Weight yarn from Knit Picks. City Tweed is 55% merino wool, 25% superfine alpaca, and 20% Donegal tweed. And it is the softest, squishiest yarn you can imagine. I was glad to be practiced up on the half fisherman's rib and on the Ozetta's pattern writing before I began. It helped immensely. Probably the most important thing to remember about the fisherman's rib stitch is that the rows are doubled because you're knitting into the row below. So when it looks like 12 rows, it's actually 24. And things change when you switch from knitting flat to knitting in the round. In a 2-row pattern, knitting flat requires you to knit the second row, while when knitting in the round, you purl the second row. It's also important to make your sleeve decreases carefully as not to ruin the stitch pattern. Using stitch markers on all my decreases was very helpful. The Seasons Cardigan is designed to be loose and boxy. However, I sized down to the medium for a more fitted look. And if you are tempted to make this sweater, you should. It's fun to learn new techniques. And besides the new stitch, I also learned how to do the sewn tubular cast-off. It makes a beautiful stretchy finish. And I ended up with a beautiful new sweater that I know I will wear often. Okay, so that was a big finish. I'm glad to have that off my needles and I can move on to more things because I've had a really bad case of startitis lately. I just want to knit all the things. But this week, I had an opportunity to knit quite a bit. My mother had surgery, back surgery, on Monday, and my 2 sisters and I took turns staying at the hospital with her, and I took her on her surgery day and spent that whole day, spent the night, and half the next day with her. And then my other sisters filled in, and then I went back on Friday and spent the day with her. I got a lot of knitting done, let me just tell you. So I've been working on the Film Reel for Children pattern, and I don't think I wrote down who the designer is. I'll add it below here. This is in one of my older bags, an old canvas drawstring bag that I made. So last time I showed you where I was here. So I finished that. There's 6 colors in this sweater. So I finished that pink section, finished this pink section, and went down into this darker purple section. So that was quite a bit of knitting for me. Got all that done. This is a fun little pattern I'm doing for my granddaughter. She's just turned 8 years old, and I think she's really going to like it. I'm doing that in a size 8. I'm using yarn that I purchased from Etsy. It's Serendipity. They don't sell this gradient set any longer, but they do have other gradient sets. It's really a lovely, lovely yarn. Has a really nice feel and drape, and I've really been enjoying that. Hopefully, I can get onto the sleeves soon. And then my second project that I've been working on this week is, so if you watch The Crazy Sock Lady, you will know that she designed a pattern for socks called Heel Toe Do-Si Do. And she was showing the one she was working on the last couple of weeks, and I realized I had the same yarn. And so I decided to copy her because you can't reinvent the wheel, right? So I have one sock done, got this done in the hospital as well, and I'm started on the second sock right here. So that's going well. I posed a question this week I've been thinking about with socks. So my socks, I do the 64 stitch size, the medium size. I use a 2.2 two 5mm US size 1 circular needle. So I'm trying to figure out a better fit for my leg. So my calves, I say I have bowling pin calves because I have a larger muscular calf that goes down to a very small ankle and a very narrow heel. So if I did the small sock, it would be too tight on my calf. But what is happening is that the heel and right around in the gusset area is bulky and baggy, and I don't like that. So I'm trying to figure out if I were to do, so what I do is a 20 row cuff, a 2x2 cuff. I do a 50 row leg before I start my heel flap. So I'm trying to think that maybe when I got to about 1.5 inches before the heel, maybe 2 inches, I should start decreasing and go down to the 56 stitch pattern size and then work that through the heel and then go back to the 64. I don't know. I might try it on my next pair of socks. But I think I would just like a snugger fit in my sock. I don't like the bulkiness right in the ankle area. And I notice when I put shoes on, they'll kind of bulk up right there. And it's not a good look. If you have any suggestions or if you've had this problem and have found a way to solve it, please leave a comment below. I would love to know how you fixed it. I'm going to do some thinking on that this week and see what I can come up with. This sock that I'm working on, I'm going to just do the same as the first sock, of course. But the next set of socks I do, I think I'm going to try decreasing it in that heel area and see what happens. All right. So when I was knitting that, I noticed this box I've had sitting around in my house for a couple of years. It says Merry Christmas on it. And I was getting ready to put it away into my Christmas decorations when a thought occurred to me. Wouldn't that be a fun box to store all my Christmas socks that I make this year in? So I have 2 pair done, got my 3rd pair going. And then at Christmas time, wouldn't it be fun to invite my daughters and close friends that are knit worthy and like hand knit socks to just come and take a pair of socks that they like? I just love that idea. So I decided to keep this box out, and this is going to store all my Christmas socks for 2024. We'll see how that goes. Looking ahead. So as I told you, I have had a startitis case really bad. I just want to knit all the things. I have come up with so many ideas of things I want to knit, and I love that, but I have to slow myself down. I don't like to have too many whips going, and right now I think I have about 9. I only worked on 2 this week that I shared with you. But I am thinking about the Jen sweater. And this is a sweater by Josie Paquin. I'll put a picture of that in right here. It's a V-neck pullover, and she has it made out of 4 colors. And it made me remember a skein of yarn I bought many years ago. This is Deep Stash, a Miss Babs colorway. There was a shawl going around back then. I think it was a Vera Valimaki pattern called Affection. And it was a 3-color shawl. And so Miss Babs, started making up her yarn in 3 colorways in one continuous skein. And so I bought one back then thinking I was going to make the Affection shawl, which I never did. I always have planned to. But I remembered I had that big skein of yarn. I think it's 1,400 yards, maybe 16. Anyhow, I thought surely I could make that sweater using that yarn. I could either add another color to it or just do it in the 3 colors. So I don't know. That's on my radar. We'll think about that. And then another sweater that I've been eyeing for quite a while is All the Love by Joji Locatelli. And I have some Coast yarn set aside. and it's a merino silk blend, and I think it would be really lovely in that. So those are potential on the needles soon. But first I got to finish a couple of other projects. All right, shop news. Well, I have put my spring bags in and they're selling well. Just wanted to highlight a couple. This one is one of my favorites. This is the only one in the shop. I had some of this fabric left over. I've had it for years. I made some, my granddaughter Ren is 8 years old, and I made something for her using this with the birds on it. But I had just enough left to make a bag. So this is a one-of-a-kind bag. I can't find this fabric anymore. It's fully lined, has a outside zipper pocket to hold all the notions and scissors and things in, has a detachable handle, and every bag I make has a detachable stitch marker on it. And this one has the little bird charm on there. So there's one of these in the shop if you want it. That's all there is. I also have one more of these left. And again, I had 2 teal ones and they've sold, they're gone. I've sold a couple of these. I think this is the last one left. This is a Riley Blake fabric that I used for my twin granddaughters. I made them quilts 4 years ago. That's the inside of that. I love this fabric so much, and I can't get any more of it. So again, lined pocket. And this has the same little spring bird charm on it. Okay. And then I have a few of these Easter bags. I just love these. Bunnies and Carrots, I call it. And it's a bright springy orange color. The stitch or the progress keeper on this one is a little bunny with a carrot. And I just think these are so fun. Lined it in blue. So there are a few of these available in the shop for Easter if you like to have coordinating bags for the season. So again, my Etsy shop is Robinznest Knits, and you'll find it on Etsy. Just search Robinznest Knits, and I'll also include a link below. All right, that brings me to reading, and so right now I'm trying to get into a book, The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. It's a slow start for me. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get into it, but also I've been struggling because we've been staying up too late at night. Usually I read at night when I go to bed, but we've been staying up binge watching TV shows like crazy. And so when I go to bed, I'm just too tired to read. And this week we've been watching The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. And the funny thing is, we've watched season 1 before, and we both remember it, but we can't remember how it ends. So it's like watching it all over again for us. And now they have a season 2 as well that we haven't seen. So we're going to get into that tonight. We've really enjoyed that. It's a kind of a whodunit kind of storyline. And I think that's about all we've been watching. We finished up All Creatures Great and Small on PBS. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, I think that's about all we've been watching. But anyway, it's a good show if you like those kind of programs. Oh, acquisitions. I need to tell you about the new things I've gotten. So I've gotten one skein of yarn in the last couple weeks, and this is by Mama Jess Knits. And this colorway is called Snow Covered Petals. And it has some beautiful purples and creams in it. And I can just see this making a beautiful pair of socks. So I did get that. And then as far as notions, I ordered some more needles, sock knitting needles. So I ordered a couple of the 32-inch the US size 1 needles, the Chowgu, which are my favorite. And then I also ordered a couple more of the 9-inch Circs for sock making. And I was going to mention to you that I ordered these online from a shop called Handsome Fibers. And I like them. It's kind of a weird name, but Handsome Fibers. They sell a lot of needles and notions and things, and they're usually a really good price, less than I have found in other places. So it might be something you want to look into. I'll put the link down below for that as well. All right, I think that's about all I have to share with you this week. It's been good recording again. As always, if you would please leave a comment. Since I have started doing this, I've realized how important that really is, how much it really means to get some feedback for what you're doing. So if you would just leave a comment below, if you have some good criticism that will help me improve, I'm willing to hear that. If you just want to leave a comment, just say hi, hello, tell me where you are, where you're from. That would be great too. Give it a thumbs up. Apparently that helps other people find the podcast. I know there are so many podcasts out there, and the fact that you watch this means so much to me, and I just want to say thank you for that. And I'm going to close today with a quote. Anne of Green Gables is one of my favorite books and series, and one of her quotes that I've always loved is, "Isn't it nice to think that tomorrow is a new day with no mistakes in it yet?" Yet being the operative word. And that reminds me of one of my favorite scriptures from Lamentations 3:22 and 23. And it says, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." And on that, I'm going to say goodbye. Have a great rest of the week, and enjoy your knitting. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.